Uh, so went ahead and got that started. And if you all have any questions or there's things outside of the recording, feel free to let us know. But for today's content, we will get it recorded and have it live on our Call for Sessions webpage. Thank you all for joining us for our webinar. This is actually our second one that we are doing for educational programming. My name is Austin McDonald. I use he, him pronouns. We'll have Bram and Kaylin introduce themselves in just a moment. Drew and I serve as co-chairs for the Educational Programming Committee, and Drew should be hopping back on here in just a moment. Through today's webinar, though, we hope you all understand a little bit more about our conference theme and how you can tie that into your proposal. We've got a lot of things that we want to cover with you all, but also want this as interactive as possible. So we'll be monitoring the chat. Feel free to post things in there. If you have a specific question, feel free to throw that in there, and we'd be happy to answer other questions that you might have as well. Through the agenda, though, I do want to go through and talk about what we hope to cover between kind of the four of us on the call today. Our conference theme is Endless Possibilities, and so we want to do an overview of what that means to us and what we hope you all get out of the conference as well. We'll share the conference cornerstones, which live on our website, and kind of go into detail of what those look like and how we can implement them into the conference. And then as far as the theme in your proposal, we've got some questions that we want to pitch to you all and how you can make your proposal applicable to this conference theme. And then we'll have some reminders for you as far as next steps for call for sessions and what's next between now and October, whenever NODAC happens. So awesome. That's all from me. I'll let the other two introduce themselves as well.
Hey y'all, my name is Bram Stone. My pronouns are they, them. I serve as one of the speaker and special initiative co-chairs. I work as the Assistant Director for Leadership Programs within Student Living at Syracuse University. And we're excited that you're joining us today to talk about the conference theme and your educational sessions. Kaylin?
Yeah, hey y'all. Like Bram said, also excited that you all are here today. My name is Kaylin Hanna. I use she, her pronouns. I serve as one half of our communications committee for NODAC 2025, and I work at Wichita State University as the student program coordinator.
Okay, so we're going to first start by talking about our conference theme, which is Endless Possibilities. We're really excited as a conference committee for this theme of endless possibilities and being in San Francisco. So on the next slide, I'm going to review a little bit more about what endless possibility means to us. So ultimately, as a committee, our goal is to have our members examine the influential power of orientation, transition, and retention with the intention of inspiring, engaging, and supporting students and professionals in higher education. We want this conference experience to ignite the passion in each of us. And we were really excited about the space of San Francisco, a destination that's been long seen as a land of potential and hope. Throughout San Francisco's history of being at the forefront of progressive acceptance, inspiring creativity and free thought, and groundbreaking innovation, it makes San Francisco a city where each of us can be ourselves, embrace our imagination, and strive for more, really honing in on that idea of the endless possibilities of our field. So in framing our conference theme, we're focused on concepts that drive our work. These concepts will be the underpinning of our conference, or as Austin mentioned earlier, our cornerstones. We'll focus on each of these cornerstones, 1 being representation, 2 being innovation, 3 being community, and 4 being progression throughout the conference. So for speakers and special initiatives, we're really excited to be having some intentional experience that go around those 4 cornerstones. Educational programming, we're looking for sessions that speak to 1 or more of those cornerstones. And we're ultimately hoping that our conference experience can focus on these 4 underpinning cornerstones. We're aiming to cultivate a space of learning, exploration, individualism, creativity, advocacy and intentionality through this conference theme. And we hope that you're inspired by the idea of endless possibilities as well when you're creating your sessions.
So if you didn't pick up on it, conference cornerstones are a big thing for our NODAC conference this year. And we're going to share more in depth of what those 4 cornerstones are on the next slide. And so here's brief definitions for each of those. Our first cornerstone is representation. And so with that, we want to just ensure that all of our orientation, transition, and retention programs are all accessible. And they also engage all of our community stakeholders, both on and off our campus. The next one is innovation. And so with that, we really want to focus on fostering a culture of creativity and forward-thinking approaches in orientation, transition, and retention throughout where we work and also at this conference as well. The third one being community, and we really want to strengthen the sense of community among our OTR professionals and stakeholders, also emphasizing the essence of collaboration and shared values. And then last one is progression. And with this one, we really want to promote and continuous improvement and development within our orientation, transition, retention programs and practices as well.
So you might have come to our session today to kind of think about how the conference theme or these 4 cornerstones apply to your proposal. And we have some guiding questions for you all in order to start thinking about that. Before I ask the questions, can I have people use like the raise hand feature? If you have a session in mind and are thinking about a topic, or are you coming to the space more so to be inspired? So if you have a topic in mind, can you use the raise hand feature on the React at the bottom of your screen? Okay, Natasha, I see your hand. Okay. Great, thank you. Okay, so I see 2 hands raised or thumbs ups in the group. So thinking that more of our group is looking for how can our conference theme inspire your educational session, which is exciting because we have some guiding reflection questions here. So for representation, a few questions that you might think about is, what are ways you're creating accessible and engaging programs on your campus? So how do you invite students to your campus, families and guests, to engage them in accessible ways? Or how are you including multiple campus entities and audiences in your programming? Really thinking about that definition of including all within our campus programming for orientation, transition, and retention, and how are those aligning for you? We'll kind of go through each of these questions and then maybe come back to them to see if people have additional thoughts, questions, comments, concerns type of thing. And then innovation, some questions that you might think about or consider when you're thinking about educational sessions is, what are forward-thinking approaches you take within your work? And then how are implementing creative solutions in your approach, right? I think innovation, especially in San Francisco, we're thinking about tech and AI, and there are multiple educational session types. There's a skill brief and there's the workshop style presentation. And so thinking about those and in what format also might innovation be best to present on?
Awesome. And so for community, a couple questions to think of for that cornerstone. First one being, what connections do you need to be filled during your conference experience, and how can you provide that support? And also, which ways do you foster community amongst your team, professional staff, and other partners? With this one, especially thinking about your role in your department. If you oversee your student staff, how do you foster community with that? If you oversee professional staff, again, how do you kind of build community with that? And thinking about your stakeholders with that as well. And then lastly, some questions for our progression cornerstone. The first one being, how do you collect and implement feedback from campus partners and stakeholders? And also thinking about how do you engage in forward-thinking research to guide new ideas within the field? I think especially going to conferences, a lot of people come back and they're like, wow, it was really inspirational. I can't wait to get to work. And with this cornerstone, we're hoping that you have some feedback from things that other universities did well that you can take back and adapt to your institution and your department.
Yeah, so with that said, are there any questions that people are reflecting on that's starting to get some wheels turning for them in terms of what they think they might present on or are starting to ideate to present on? Or as Austin said in the chat, what are some ways that you're hoping to tie in the theme, maybe beyond these questions, and any questions that you might have for us that we can help answer for you today? And you don't have to come off camera, but if you just want to unmute yourself, if you have any ideas or questions, comments, we'd love to kind of hear some of your reflections to these questions.
Brennan and Kaylin have done a great job of sharing what we hope as a conference committee that you all get out of our experience. When thinking about the field and higher education and where we exist in the space, we want to make sure that we are forward thinking of all of those different possibilities and what a place to do that other than San Francisco. And so we have some basis of questions here, but your possibilities really are endless. We're going to say that a lot. But we want you to be creative in your approach whenever you are submitting these session proposals as we go through the selection and the call for sessions. So it looks like we did get one in the chat. So thank you, Natasha. I know the title of a session can go a long way in terms of attendance. How would you suggest incorporating the theme into the title? Graham or Caitlin, do y'all want to?
Yeah, so one thing I will say is that we'll have our educational sessions aligned via tracks. So when you, and I think Austin's going to review this a little bit later, but the cornerstone that's most relevant will likely be tagged already in the app so that people can filter that way. So I would say maybe avoid re-listing the cornerstone again, but trying to think of like what the essence of your title is. I am a doc student and I love a good like something 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 colon and then like another little tagline type of thing. I also think tying things to relevant pop culture or things like that are fun and engaging. And so I think trying to identify what the essence of your presentation is beyond the theme is helpful. I think one thing with a conference theme is, as Austin has indicated, we're probably going to say endless possibilities a lot. And so maybe using endless possibilities is not going to make it stand out amongst other ones, but I think of like tying in a different verb. So like ideating or creating or advocate, right? Like, and then tying in the word possibilities for what your specific presentation is trying to accomplish or convey could be another way that kind of like switches things up and has people clue into your title a little bit more. I don't know if that's helpful. Or if
Yeah,
Caitlin-
and I would suggest, I mean, we've got these cornerstones here, but the overall, we are wanting to be forward thinking with what we are offering at the conference this year. And so making sure that you are encouraging and really enticing people of what are you doing that may be new or different or unique within these cornerstones, and how can that be applicable to them on their campus? Ooh, Natasha got a little shout out from Lindsay. I will go to that session as well, no matter the name title.
The only other thing that I would add, love everything that's been said. The only other thing I would add is think about your target audience with your presentation and kind of tailor that title to who your intended audience is. And also think about ed sessions in the past that have grabbed your attention, whether if it was a reference to pop culture, maybe think about certain pop culture trends that are happening and kind of put your own twist to that.
For a plug for our website, we have really we're trying to do new and innovative things this year, and so we have created and listed those on our webpage. And so as you're going through Sessionize and submitting your session, really make sure that you have a full grasp of what the theme is to incorporate that, and what those kind of cornerstones are, identify which one you want to cover as you're submitting. Yes, and Bram just linked that in the chat, which is great. There's a call for session. There's a new to NODA webpage or tab as well. So some great resources for you. Awesome. Well, we are happy to stay on. I've got a couple of other things I want to go through with you as well. But we really want to just start the conversation today of getting you thinking about how you can really think creatively about all of the possibilities for your session and what you can present on to share with other attendees at the conference. So we do want to chat through just a reminder of the call for sessions timeline as well. The call for sessions are open, so if you've submitted one already, we appreciate you and congratulations. We've got a little while until they're due, so the call for sessions will close on June 26th at 11:59 p.m. That is Central Time, so just everyone know that as well. And then we will take that and review all of the different sessions and hope to identify the presenters by August 22nd. And so you will get an email either way letting you know. Do want to point out that that is before the early bird deadline, and those dates and things will be posted in the next couple of weeks. But want you to have an idea of whether or not you're presenting before that deadline ends. And then we also want to plug the peer review application opens on May 8th. And so that is in the next couple of weeks and will be open throughout the month of May, close on the 29th. But we really rely on our peer reviewers to identify what needs to be presented at the conference. We will have a webinar based solely on that and some other things as well, but want to make sure that you all are aware of that deadline, that timeline, and encourage you to be a peer reviewer. I see that there was another question in the chat, so we can definitely go over that. Graham, you wanna hit it?
Sure. Yeah, the question from Natasha was, which area, orientation, transition, or retention do you think needs more potential sessions? I'm debating either doing one focused on transition or retention. I would say that either both. Why not submit both, you know? Because you can submit more than once at a conference. And then also, I think our conference in the past has generally been really orientation heavy. So I would encourage you to think about considering both, as I mentioned. But then submit the one, if you're only going to submit the one that you feel more confident and comfortable in presenting on, right? I think it doesn't hurt to try and submit multiple. You have to accept or decline. And so maybe you can look at, based off of feedback that you get from the reviewers, which one might feel better for you to go with if you do submit both and both do get accepted. But I would say focusing in on the T and R is definitely something we would hope for, recognizing we get a lot of orientation focused things. As the resident non-orientation person on our conference planning committee, I think it's great that people are wanting to share some TNR things as well. I hope that answers your question without just telling you to do both.
Awesome. And then we do want to plug that we did a webinar a couple of weeks ago that should live on our website soon. The recording should be there. We went really in detail of Sessionize and some of the pieces that exist within that as well. And so encourage you, if you're getting into submitting and those kinds of things and get stuck in Sessionize, encourage you to review that recording. It's open, and so if you have specific questions as you're going through it, our committee is here to help as well, and we'll share our email here shortly. But Sessionize, we've added some new and interesting things throughout this submission, and so hope that you enjoy as you go through that. Want to share those resources that we just mentioned as well. Our conference planning committee, you can email us at nodac2025@umn.edu. That is on our website as well. As you have a specific question, if it's about educational programming, if it is about any of our speakers or special initiatives, or anything that our conference committee is doing, send us an email there and we will be happy to respond to give you the resources or answers that you need. Attend the workshop. So we love having everyone in the room today. I'm glad that Zoom held through for us all. But we have some other exciting things that are coming up, not just on educational programming committee, but also through our other co-chairs as well. So stay up to date on our social media and those kinds of things to make sure that you have all of the upcoming necessary information. And then that bleeds right into staying connected. We've plugged our website. We spend a lot of time updating that. But of course, our social media is a great place to know what is coming up as well. So what's next? We do want to share the date again. It's going to be October 24th through the 27th in San Francisco. And we are so excited for that. Again, want to plug being a peer reviewer. We rely on you all to make this process great. It's more than just us going through and picking the sessions. And so throughout that peer review process, again, we'll have another webinar, but throughout that peer review process, you have the opportunity to give back to the association, which is great. And then some of the other upcoming webinars, at least for educational programming, on the 21st of May at 1 p.m. Central, we will go over the different educational session types. We're adding a new resource and research fair that we're excited to go over as well. And then what to expect through that review process and the peer review process as well. And then Drew and I host office hours throughout our time. And so if you have specific questions, we'll be hanging out on both of the dates that are listed there. You can pop in, ask us a question if you want us to help brainstorm some different ideas. We're happy to do that as well. And then last but not least, of course, we're here if you have questions. So we'll hang back for a few minutes if you have additional questions. But again, as I mentioned earlier, our email is always there for you as well. Thanks so much for attending, and thanks for Bram and Kaylin for hanging out with us today. If you have additional questions, we're here for you.